Hey y'all, welcome back to Ascending with Ashley. I'm Ashley. Hi. Okay. I was gonna do all of these as separate things. It's a collective combo. But I think we can tackle all of this in one. Alright? So ultimately, this is about how sometimes when we are mistreated or abused, it shows up in our life where we take on a victim mentality. Okay? But within that, I want to talk about some of the things that can come up. Victim mentality, it's pretty what it is, and sounds like what it is, where we blame other people for everything going on in our own lives, right? Where we don't really have the capacity to take accountability for things either going wrong or things we've been through. And most of that stems from, I would say, I don't want to put a false statistic here, but I would say a lot of that stems from some sort of abuse, whether it be narcissistic abuse, or neglect, right? Either way, somewhere along the line that was modeled for us instead of taking accountability and, getting ourselves out of situations. Whenever Niall has a big moment, I always tell him, and this was not the way I was raised, these are things that I had to heal through and come up with. But when there's a problem that arises, there are multiple solutions to every problem, every time. It's just about our ability to pivot and figure out which solution is best for us at that time, right? It's really that simple. But if we're in a victim mentality, we're going to be tantruming, right? Kicking and screaming and blaming everyone else, because that's the behavior that was more than likely modeled for us at some point in time. That's how we were taught to handle situations. Obviously, look at the state of the world. Okay, everybody has a victim mentality. Now, I think within this, the other thing I have written down, I have four. Pick number 3, my lord. Pick number 3. I have 4 things written down. Victim mentality is the umbrella. Okay, why that comes up. Another part of this is the destruction of displaced anger, right? Instead of being upset and, taking on a conversation or confronting the person in which did the neglecting and abuse, right? The root of why we have the victim mentality, we then project it onto everyone around us, okay? Like very Grinch, well, it's not really fair. Grinch was just a hopeless romantic. Anyway, Scrooge, that's the right dude. Where everyone is it's that displaced anger. Really toxic space to be in, and you're going to attract more, right? Law of attraction. You're going to attract more of that towards you, in which you're going to just be stuck in these fucking gnarly ass cycles of issues and problems and inability to solve them because you think it's someone else's problem, right? The other thing I have here are repressed memories and feelings. Most of the time, when we are working from a victim mentality, we don't really know why, because we've repressed the initial issue, right? Again, we didn't take it up with the person in which caused the harm. Instead, we repressed the memories and feelings because sometimes the abuse was that bad that it's not even something that we remember, because the emotional trauma or distress that it caused in the time of it happening, or if this is just who, a parental unit or someone who had control over you was towards you. You know who I'm talking about if it is relating to you. If someone who was supposed to take care of you let things happen to you, didn't listen to you when you told them what happened, Um, that's gaslighting. And that's the other thing I have written down. So, cycles of abuse are the reason that people have victim mentalities, because you are a victim. Okay? Straight up. I'm acknowledging that within you, yes, you are a victim. However, you get to choose if you want to be a survivor or warrior, or if you want to stay in these cycles and keep feeding this beast, not only for you, but also for the people around you, when in all reality, it should have been addressed. And yes, most of the time these things happen when we are younger. People like to really take advantage of children. Obviously, again, look at the world in which we live. Um, so children are an oppressed class, right? And I think when we acknowledge that we were oppressed when these things happened to us, or when we were treated this way, and we didn't have the knowing or the emotional ability to, adults really like to make children do the emotional labor for them, and that's what causes victim mentality, because the adults are unhealthy in their own ways. So I want you to know that it takes a lot to first acknowledge victim mentality. Um, and a lot of people aren't going to want to. A lot of people just want to, shit on people who never shit on them. Um, Misery love company vibes, right? Those crabs in a barrel. But if you're over here on my channel, we like to heal, and we like to be the change, and we like to understand how and why we do the things that we do. And yeah, it's not about blaming someone, but it is about acknowledging the harm done. And if you so choose to confront that person as you've grown or as you've gotten older, if that person, a lot of this does stem from narcissistic tendencies slash straight up narcissism, narcissistic. I don't know why I keep doing that. Anyway, um, I think the entire boomer generation is narcissistic, obviously, or in the very least has narcissistic tendencies, because again, the way they were brought up, okay, that does not excuse the way that they did that to us. But when we understand why someone does something, it allows us to have a little bit of compassion for them, so that we can have compassion for ourselves. And it takes a lot of emotional intelligence and strength to get to that point. If you have been gaslit, I've been gaslit to hell and back constantly. I don't talk to those people anymore. I tried letting it be known how I felt, how they made me feel, and was gaslit in the process. But I feel like a lot of this is like a pattern of, in my experience, a pattern of me having something go wrong, and having my mother would always like swoop in and save the day. And it was a very egoic, she's a covert narcissist. So it would be like, yeah, I'll save you, but in the meantime, she would also gaslight me and be like, you should be able to, whatever. And then it happened so often that I was just like, you know what? Okay, cool. Yeah, you're right. I should just be able to do this by myself, and fuck you, I will. And that's liberation, right? So victim mentality, along with all of these other things we've made videos about, all of the videos we've talked about for Collective Convo, can also contribute to victim mentality. But I didn't think that this needed to be 4 separate videos, because they are all related. But again, there's grief and guilt and all of these shadow aspects or feelings that we don't really want to deal with, because society tells us that they're bad or whatever. I don't fucking know. But victim mentality is something that you can release. It's something that you can overcome. And there is a time and place to acknowledge harm others have done. That doesn't mean We blame them for all of the things in our lives. We are on our own path. Our life is our own adventure. We choose, we have free will to choose. Oh, I have a fuzzy. Whether or not we want to stay in cycles of abuse or lack or victim mentality, regardless of what made us be in that. Okay? I hope this wasn't too harsh. I'm going to let you go because I can smell breakfast is ready and I need to go take it out of the oven. But yeah, we have been victims. I'm acknowledging that, but that doesn't mean that's the end of our story. All right? Choose to become a warrior and a survivor of that. All right? Use those moments as lessons, as stepping points, as a foundation of change, of what not to do to others. All right? It takes a lot of courage and strength to do that, and I'm really proud of you. Have a good one.